right, guys, welcome to Relax Retro Talk, episode 38, I think.
38. 38.
We are talking about growing up with the Game Boy Advance. Last episode, we talked about all those obscure, oddball...
The weird ones.
Yeah, the oddball handhelds, and now we're dialing it back to probably one of, if not the second most popular handheld of all time, probably behind the DS, I would say.
Yeah, Wikipedia's got it at almost 82 million units sold. Like, that's crazy for a handheld. But it was also not expensive, right? Like, it was 99 bucks.
And a bitch ain't one, even.
I mean, and it came in atomic purple, and I think that was important as well.
Yeah, it was, man.
Nintendo had a big thing with purple back then.
The GameCube, GBA, purple. Everything was purple. Color. Even the freaking Game Boy Color, I guess. A lot of the Game Boy Colors were purple, right?
Yeah, loved purple.
So, what was your first time playing the Game Boy Advance? And what was... Oh, yeah, first, let's do this at the beginning. Guys, if you enjoy this podcast and you watch it all the time and you like watching it maybe on a commute from work and you don't want to die, maybe check us out on Spotify because we're also there as well.
Yeah, we do the Spotify. We do the Spotify.
We do it. So check it out on Spotify, Relax Retro Talk. You can listen to us there. A lot safer than having to try and watch. You ever do that?
Don't watch while you're driving.
Not that I've ever done this before, but you ever watching or listening to a YouTube video, and you're driving and then an ad starts and you're like trying to fucking blind skip the ad? You don't want to be... Exactly. You don't want to do that. Just listen on Spotify.
The GBA was a fantastic console. This is one of the very few times where I actually bought one of these things brand new. Like brand new from the store in the box, popped it out.
Complete in-box, mint condition.
Yeah, it was very, very good. And I loved the fact, and Nintendo has to, this is like the de facto Nintendo thing to do, but they're like, the Game Boy Advance is the same power as the Super Nintendo. So let's re-release the entire Super Nintendo catalog.
Yeah, they did that.
On the
which isn't a bad idea because,
GBA.
I mean, this was the first time you could actually kind of take a home console on the go. Yeah. I mean, I guess the Sega Nomad, but I mean, you had probably like, what, 2 hours battery life on the Sega Nomad or something like that.
Well, and that was the other thing. The GBA only took 2 batteries. So, I mean... The screen, I don't love the screen. I don't love it.
No, hard to see. But the Game Boy Advance SP came out. That's what I mostly
That's just it. They were constantly like doing better as they went along. And I mean, and like as a kid, like when I got that Game Boy Advance, I got that little worm light, the little spirally worm light that plugs into the top port there, and did my thing, right? I picked up my copy of F-Zero Maximum Velocity at the time. Incredibly difficult game. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. Great.
So that's actually, it's kind of funny because the first Game Boy Advance game I played, or not played, but owned, I got it with my Game Boy Advance. I got my Game Boy Advance secondhand, but I got F-Zero, it's called like GP Legends or something?
Yeah, GP Legends. Yeah.
Yes, dude. I played the shit. It was like a story mode.
Yeah.
F-Zero game. I played the crap out of that.
It was really good.
What's the Velocity one? Which one came out first? Do you know? And like,
Maximum
what's the
Velocity
difference?
Was like a launch title.
With
it. Yeah, so it was like it was the one that was out, and it's really funny because on my GBA I played a ton of racing games. So I had Maximum Velocity, I had Mario Kart Advance, I had another one. What was the other one? It was like a top-down racer, kind of like it was kind of along the lines of like RC Pro-Am, but it wasn't RC Pro-Am. It was like some other title. But I mean, it was good. The GBA was hands down one of my favorite handheld consoles.
Yeah, it was good.
Like it was just really good.
Really
There's
good
a lot of
games on
great
it.
games on it. There's a lot of they were just loving the fact that they could just pump a Super Nintendo game onto a GBA cartridge, which was really cool. But they started getting in trouble with it when they were releasing. Do you remember they were releasing Super Mario Advance? And so Super Mario Advance 1 was
like Super Mario Brothers 3, maybe?
Was it so I always get this mixed up, and I'm gonna have to look this up.
And then there was the second one was like Super Mario World.
I'm gonna have to look this up because it's like 1 and 2 is Super Mario 3 and Super Mario World. Now I want to say 1 was Super Mario 3.
I think so too.
And then they released Super Mario World, but Super Mario World was Super Mario Advance 2, but then they released Super Mario Advance 3, which was Super Mario World 2.
Yeah, the Yoshi.
Like, they just like it was quite the adventure as you make your way around there. So
what was like the difference between the two?
Maximum Velocity was its own thing. If I'm not mistaken, it was like they released a pack of levels, an F-Zero pack of levels. That was like coined F-Zero 2, like the Super Nintendo F-Zero 2, but it was released only in Japan, and then they brought it in as like a special edition on a later console. It was either the Wii or the GameCube or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And they were difficult levels, but it was on the GBA, and so that game was hard. And I remember like so hyped for an F-Zero game because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna play the crap out of F-Zero. I love F-Zero. And it was not. I wished it was this. That was the one time where I was like, I wish this was the Super Nintendo version. I would have bought it. Because it wasn't.
Yeah. But I know, like, when I played GP Legends, it was good.
GP Legends is like a story-based game. Yeah.
Yeah, and you like play through all the characters' stories and stuff.
Yeah.
Who is your F-Zero guy?
I am usually
and why
rocking...
is it Pico and the Wild Goose?
It's not Pico and the Wild Goose. I usually rock the Blue Falcon and Captain Falcon.
Yeah, Captain Falcon.
However, if I'm racing for real, I'm rocking the desert, the yellow car. Because it's the handling and the speed is just like dialed in. But to be honest with you, if I'm playing Super Nintendo, I've got it dialed in pretty good with Blue Falcon. I'm not winning any speed races or anything like that, right? Like there's speedrunners and stuff. People know how to play that game way better than I do. Yeah. But I can get from beginning to end, and I think that's an accomplishment in itself.
Oh, dude, I can't. As soon as it gets to like that windy shit, I'm done.
Deathwind.
Like I can't get anywhere like that.
Yeah, it's good. But
F-Zero, like, talk about a racing series that is just freaking good, and they need to like.
It's time for a new one. It's time. It's been a while. It's time. But yeah, so as far as it goes for launch games, so the GBA drops on June 11th, 2001. I think I picked mine up in July of 2001. Like it was not far off of launch. Like it was really? Right away. Yeah. And because I ended up with some birthday money that I had saved up, and my older brother had got one. He was showing it to me and my younger brother. We all ended up getting one. And yeah, I ended up playing a ton of GBA. But launch titles, you had Choo Choo Rocket, Earthworm Jim,
a Sega game.
F-Zero Maximum Velocity, GT Advanced Championship Racing. That was the other one that I was thinking of. It was just like a little racer game. It was nothing fancy. It was just, it is what it is. Something called Iridian 3D, which was like a spaceship kind of game.
Sounds intense.
Konami Crazy Racers, Pinobi Wings of Adventure, Pitfall the Mayan Adventure, Rayman Advance, Ready to Rumble Boxing Round 2.
Hey, that's a good...
Super Dodgeball Advance.
Oh, that was a really good game, dude.
It was. And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, which I don't know if you had a chance to play or not. They took the game because Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is a fantastic game. And they made it was like a forced top down.
Oh yeah,
like
I did play it. I know exactly
style.
What you're talking about now.
Not a lot of fun.
No,
didn't really like that one so much.
So the GBA was kind of the era. So like even in like the Game Boy Color, you had games where they would like make like they'd take a console game and they'd make a Game Boy version of that game.
Yeah.
But I feel like
it's not a port.
No, but
No.
I feel like the GBA was where it got really bad a lot of the time. Like sometimes you'd have something that's very different but still really good. Like for example, I think we talked about Battletoads. I actually prefer the Game Boy Battletoads game over the NES one because it's not so ridiculously hard and it's still really, really good. But this is where you had like even and the DS was bad for it too. Like you'd have like Sonic colors on the PS2 or PS3 or whatever, and then you'd have the shitty DS version, and it was just like they would just hand it off to some shitty no-name developer to like have to like make this game in no time at all.
Yeah. They're like, here's the idea, we want you to make this, and they send you off and away you go.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. It is what it is. Also, the Game Boy Advance, home of some of the best Castlevania games.
Ooh, Aria of Sorrow, top freaking tier. My favorite Castlevania game of all time.
Yep.
Played it for the first time maybe 5-6 years ago. Absolutely love that game.
You went through all of them, right? There was also was there Circle of the Moon, Harmony of Dissonance. Was really good. Harmony of Dissonance used to burn in a fire though. You know that sound clip on my stream where I'm like, oh, okay. That's from the ridiculousness that is Harmony of Dissonance. But there was what, 3, 4 Castlevania games? There was a handful of them.
There were 2 really good ones, and then
a couple not great ones.
There was one that
they were still fun, but they had moments.
And then Harmony of Dissonance was really I hated. But there was I can't remember what that other one was. Shit. But there was another one that was pretty good. It wasn't as good as Yeah,
but you also had some fantastic games in the form of Advance Wars 1 and 2.
Yeah, Advance Wars was good.
Those were great.
Blast. Still the best way to play them. Apparently, I heard the reboot camp kind of sucked ass. Yeah,
I was gonna get it.
So they slowed down all the like animations and stuff. Apparently, so all the battles take forever. Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
It's not like that it's not that it's terrible, but I just heard that's what they did, and it like kind of makes the battles like drag on way longer than they need.
That's unfortunate. I wish they didn't do that.
Yeah. For me, I got my Game Boy Advance used. I got F-Zero GP Legends. And it was like a top spin tennis game, something.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I played that a little bit. I love Virtua Tennis, so like people are laughing, oh, I got some shitty tennis game. But I really like Virtua Tennis. It's not as good as Virtua Tennis, so
do you do the Mario Tennis games ever?
I have the one on the N64, but that's about it. Did they make any other ones?
One on the N64.
Oh, they had the Virtual Boy. The Virtual Boy one actually wasn't bad.
Yeah, they had. Well, there was a Mario Tennis on the GBA as well.
Oh, I didn't know.
But they also did. There's a Mario Tennis. There's Aces is on the Switch.
Okay.
I want to say there was one on the GameCube, but I might be mistaken on that because I know they did Strikers on the GameCube. They might not have done tennis, but there was tennis on the Wii, but it wasn't Mario Tennis. That was where things kind of get confusing for me, right? Because they had the Wii Sports Tennis.
Yeah.
Had to swing the
I would just go like this
right?
real fast, and then when you you finally hit the ball, it's just like rockets. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But and then I remember the first like big game I picked up. Because I'm not a big Zelda guy, but I really like A Link to the Past, and they did the A Link to the Past with the Four Swords games and all that.
Four Swords.
Yeah, and I remember playing that, and I remember playing Four Swords a little bit, and it's not bad, but I remember playing the GameCube one once where you have to, because like this was where the GBA and the GameCube had like a lot of connectivity, like even like Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, and where you had like each player would have to have their own GBA to see their own inventory screen and control their characters. And there's like Four Swords Adventures, I believe, that is kind of similar to that. Oh my goodness, was that game trash. Not
good.
No, the Four Swords one that's like built into A Link to the Past was pretty good, but Four Swords Adventures that hooked up to the GameCube was fucking garbage, dude.
It was like gimmicky.
Yeah.
What about
really
the
bad.
Minish Cap was at that time frame as well? Did you ever do that one?
I did. So the Minish Cap was one of those ones that I wanted to like. Like, the gameplay is the kind of gameplay that I like from the Zelda games. But and arguably, as far as I know, maybe they changed it now, but arguably Minish Cap is the beginning of the timeline, or at least it was when it came out, because that's what made Link have the green hat. Because you actually start the game without a green hat, and then you get this living hat that's like, hey, fuckhead, let's go do an adventure.
This was like a flower or something like that, wasn't it?
It was it was a hat. It was Cappy. It's not Cappy. Cappy was like the Mario Odyssey.
Cappy.
But it was a little green hat, and it's the little, where like a pom-pom would go on the top of the hat was a little face that almost looked like a little bird face. And he'd be like, hey, fuckhead, let's go on an adventure. But the Minish, and what it would do is you could shrink down to, there were these people called the Minish, and they're like this big, right? So like half the game was normal size, and then half the game you'd be like real tiny. And like, honestly, the concept was really good. The gameplay itself was really good. But what always brings my piss to a boil with Minish Cap is, in order to, and I might be wrong because it's been a long time, but I believe it was in order to access dungeons, you had to get these. So in the grass, you'd be, you know how in Zelda you're always cutting random grass? There'd be randomly dropped coin pieces, but not the whole coin, a half of the coin. So this coin would be like this, and then the next coin would be like this or something, right?
Oh, no.
And you'd have to like find the coins that interlock, and when you find both halves, then you can go into like this other dungeon. Well, some of the like dungeons you need to go to progress the story are found in these random fucking like grass cutting coin pieces. And oh my god, that shit pissed me off.
Just a problem. It was a problem from start to finish.
Yeah, it was a terrible idea. But the rest of the game, like, I remember I may have beaten it like a long time ago. I remember getting really far. I don't know if I beat it or not, but I remember getting really, really far. And it being like pretty enjoyable for a Zelda game. It was good. But
crazy.
What the heck else did I play, man? I remember playing, there was a TMNT game, beat 'em up game on it that was pretty damn good.
I don't know if I played any of
there was
Ninja
a really
Turtles back then.
There was a really good Double Dragon game as well. There was a really shitty Dragon Quest game, Caravan Heart. For some, Fates played the whole thing and loved it, but man,
no kidding.
Yeah, that is not a game I can get into. It uses like weird. So it's supposed to be like a Dragon Quest Monsters game, but instead of just being like Dragon Quest Monsters, you actually have like a caravan, and you have to have like food for your caravan members to eat, and you have to have like the whole system is just fucked. Like, it's super weird. No
kidding.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Fate said once you get further in the game, you don't have to worry too much about it because your guys have enough like I don't know if it's energy or health or whatever, that you're not constantly having to restock on food all the time. But it's really weird. Like, and the way you like build your caravan determines like your stats or something in battle. It's super weird. Like, not everyone in your caravan takes part in battles, but their stats determine the stats and abilities of the characters you have set to go in battle. It's really, really weird game.
Interesting. Yeah. Nope. Never played that one before. Yeah. I had a small library of GBA games because they were, I mean, they weren't expensive in total, but at the time they were expensive for me, right?
Because
like,
we were living off allowance.
Yeah, man. Like, I didn't have Game Boy Advance game money. I could tell you that much. But with that being said, Golden Sun was also released on the Game
that was
Boy
a good
Advance.
one.
And my younger brother was all in on Golden Sun. Like, that game, he loved Golden Sun.
Yeah, I remember him like being all over me to play Golden Sun. And I think that's why I ended up playing Golden Sun. Yeah. My issue, like I love JRPGs, but Golden Sun gets real puzzly at a certain part. There's like this temple-y looking place. I vividly remember it was like, I think, blue. And I just remember, I don't know if I got stuck there or I just got like fed up because of the puzzles. It's probably not even that hard of a puzzle, but I was like, I hate puzzles now and get frustrated easily. Yeah. So imagine me at like 14 years old. You know what I mean? It would have been worse.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, that's one of those things. But so I mentioned briefly on the color, on the purple for the Game Boy Advance. I have a list that was originally available on launch, because this was a thing with Nintendo portables back then, is that they would drop a new system. So the Game Boy Color came out, and it's like, it's also in 5 different colors. You can pick up whichever one you like. And so at the time, it was initially available in Arctic white, black,
Ooh.
orange, which was Japan only, fuchsia, which was like a transparent pink, glacier, which was a transparent blue. That's the one that I have. And then indigo, purple, right?
Yeah, purple was the most common, for sure.
Yeah, purple. I think purple was a common. I see a lot of glacier. I see a lot of the translucent blue. A lot of people grab that one.
Yeah, that's the second, really, I think, most.
It's really fetching. But so it says here, later in the system's lifespan, additional colors and special editions were released. Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Including red, clear orange, black, clear orange / black, platinum, white, gold, which is Japan only, Hello Kitty edition, pink with a Hello Kitty logo on it, the King of Fighters edition, black with images on the bezel and buttons, Chobits edition.
I have a King of Fighters, it's like King of Fighters R2 or something like that on the
there
GBA.
You go.
Yeah.
Chobits edition, translucent light blue with images on the bezel and buttons, Battle Network Rockman EXE2, which was light blue with images on the bezel, Mario Bros edition, which was glacier with Mario and Luigi on the bezel, Yomiuri Giants edition, which is glacier with images, several Pokemon themed limited edition, because we haven't even talked about Pokemon yet. They were available at the Pokemon Center stores in Japan, including gold Pokemon edition, Suicune edition, Celebi edition, and Latios Latios edition, with which were pink, red, and purple. So it's like, this was the start of Nintendo creating the special edition console, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think they really did it. They did it a little bit with the Game Boy Color, but not
a little bit.
Like a little bit.
I think
kind of dipped their toe into it.
I think the success of the Game Boy, first of all, was like, okay, we can make a bunch of different like colors
swing a little bit here
without having to worry about shit. Now we got all this stock that we're not going to sell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when it sold doubly good on the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Pocket, I think they were like, okay, let's blow the floodgates open with the GBA. And I think it's a good idea. It's a handheld.
It was a good.
Yeah.
I love the idea of it, but in the same token too, you now see it across the board, right? Because all the companies do it, right? Sony does it, Microsoft does it. You've got Nintendo still doing it with their systems, right? There's limited edition Switch and the limited edition Switch controllers. And so to me, this is the point where they start doing it, because previous to this, there's a couple specific Game Boy Colors, but not. I think there was the gold one, and there was like maybe one or two other ones.
There was a special Pikachu
edition. Pikachu. There was only a couple, but not nearly as many as here, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of where it's like, okay, we can really do this, right? It was good to see. Collector's edition, cool. Man, like that's a thing.
Even like not collector's edition, just having like, you'd be able to buy your own, the color that you wanted in was just kind of cool, because it's something you carry around like a cell phone, right?
To yourself.
Like exactly. Yeah. Everybody has a different phone case for that same reason, right? Nintendo did also do it with like the N64. I remember they kind of dipped their toes in that a little bit too.
Yeah, they were doing the Donkey Kong edition, the Atomic Purple. This was like the era. This was the time frame that they were doing it, right?
I think it was like, remember like the IMAX? Like the computers?
Yeah.
I think it was like all that too, right?
Yeah,
like that was just that
flashy
time period.
Wanted something. It's translucent plastic is like peak late 90s, early 2000s.
I hate it. And most people love it, even to this day, for some reason. To me, it looks like super tacky. Like, it just, I don't know, it looks weird.
I don't mind it. If I get a choice, question mark, depends on the thing. I'm probably not going for it 100%, but it is what it is.
Yeah, not a fan.
I will also say this is also at a point where Nintendo is being pretty consumer friendly, because they're allowing you to use Game Boy games inside your Game Boy Advance. Yeah. So you could full on replace your Game Boy with a Game Boy Advance. cut down the amount of batteries you're using, cut down on the cramping of your hands, because it fit a lot nicer. It's a lot nicer.
It was
to
a
play
wider
the Game Boy
grip.
Advance.
Yeah, it was nice.
And the fact that you could just slap your original Game Boy games in there and play the color version, that's pretty cool.
It was great. And then later on they did like the Game Boy Micro, which I think was the first one that had the back screen, the backlit screen, and then but it was fucking tiny, dude.
It was
that only played GBA games from what I
so
remember.
there's a couple, right? So you had the GBA, then that passes. In 2003 the GBA SP comes out. And that was the clamshell looking.
That was before the Micro?
That was before the Micro.
Oh, and that had a backlight.
And that had a front-lit screen. Yeah, it did.
I remember getting one of those and that's a game changer.
And then they revised the SP again in 2005. And at the same time that they did that, that's when they released the Game Boy Micro. In September 2005. And the Game Boy Micro, that was literally like, that thing was tiny.
It was small.
That was tiny,
and you could like buy custom face plates for it and stuff. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, Jason had one of those. I remember he was showing it, and I was like, I don't know when you would ever use this. You can barely see it.
Yeah, exactly. Why would you use that over your
If we're being technical about the Game Boy, the first backlit Game Boy is the Game Boy Light. But I think that's a Japan exclusive, if I'm not mistaken. It had like an Indiglow color light, like that green color light.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
it's called the Game Boy Light. It was silver in blue. It's pretty fetching looking. But I believe it's a Japan only Game
Everybody
Boy.
had those shitty pigtail coily
That's
lights.
all I rolled with, bro.
Yeah.
Like a $10 plug it in, and you had to keep moving it because it would reflect in the wrong spot.
Awful.
Terrible.
It is awful.
Playing the GBA outside though, that is really the best time to do it. Because that's
exactly.
like
When your
outside
parents were
just
like
illuminated it.
Your parents were like, you need to spend more time outside.
It's like, you
And you're
got
like,
it.
Fuck yeah, got it.
Slapped my Pokemon Ruby in there and walked on outside.
So speaking of playing outside, Konami, and I think it was Hideo Kojima that came up with this game.
Okay.
And I think it was that Boktai something in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the cartridge had like a solar thing on the top, and you actually would like charge up your like character's energy by being outside.
Okay.
Playing the game. And yeah, I don't know, it was a weird concept.
I like that. It's weird. But leave it to Kojima to come up with something
weird shit,
ridiculous,
trying to make it work. Yeah. I've heard it was a good game. I never actually played it myself. I think that's the name of it, but yeah, it was interesting as hell, that's for sure. But yeah,
interesting.
This was the generation that I kind of fell off Pokemon originally, because well,
this was the moment. This was the drop off point.
My buddy Paul had a GBA, same guy that I used to borrow his Game Boy Color and all that. He had a GBA like quite a while before I did, and he had Pokemon. I think it would have been Ruby, because that one was Groudon, right?
Yep, that was Ruby. Ruby Sapphire was Groudon and Kyogre. Yeah,
and he was like, it kind of sucks. And I was like, yeah, but do you get to go back to Johto, right? And he's like, nah. And I was like, really? And like, because that's what we were used to. Like, people nowadays are like, why would you even think that? And it's like, no, you had one sequel, and in that sequel, you go back to the fucking region of the prior game, and then you get to do all the gyms all over again, re-explore the region years after, where it takes place after the first game, and then you get to face off against essentially your character from the first game as a super boss at the end, right? And it had none of that, and I hated it. I didn't like very many of the new Pokemon. Like, there's not a lot of Gen 3 Pokemon that I really, really like.
Right.
But thank goodness, like Alpha and Omega, like Sapphire and Ruby, that remake, they did such a good job with that I actually really like that. I think
game. They did well with that on the 3DS. That was definitely really good. They did it was Fire Red, Leaf Green, and then Ruby Sapphire on the
they remade. That was the first remake too. Was the Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Fire Red, Leaf Green came out originally. And so, I mean, so you have loads of Pokemon here, which makes sense because Pokemon huge on the original Game Boy. So of course, they've got to keep that train rolling, and the train never stopped. It's still going
to this day.
Nintendo's portable systems. That's how it is, right? But I didn't really jump into Pokemon either at that point in time. Like I said, I wasn't buying a whole lot of Game Boy Advance games as it was, but. I was at a point where I kind of fell off Pokemon after Red, Blue, Yellow, really. I didn't really get too much into it until way later when the DS came out, and then that's when I picked up.
That's when I got back
Soul
into
Silver.
And it was because of you, I'm pretty sure, that I got back into it. Because I remember you were playing Soul Silver, and then it was either Diamond or Pearl, I think.
Yeah, it was Diamond. It was Diamond, Pearl, and then Soul Silver, Heart Gold. And then on the 3DS was XY... Black White was also on the DS.
Yeah, Black White too. Yeah.
And then it was XY, Sun Moon, and Ultra Sun Moon on the 3DS. Yeah. As well as Alpha
Pokemon game.
Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby.
Yeah, and then they never made another Pokemon game. It was kind of nice. They ended on a high note.
The later ones are. It's hard because the games Scarlet Violet, we're gonna have to do a Pokemon episode one of these days, but Scarlet Violet was a good game, just had awful execution, and then you can see it just dripping with the greed. It's just dripping on everything. Like it's like a poison just dripping everywhere, where you're like, okay, they're saving all of this for the DLC. Okay, they want me to buy this. Okay, I have to make sure that in order for me to get all of this stuff done, that I have to pay for Pokemon Home to transfer in my stuff. And like, it's just awful. It's the way the world is right now with gaming, and Pokemon is no different. They leaned into it. I remember the days. Remember when Nintendo was like, we're never going to sell DLC. That's ridiculous. Our games are good. They don't need DLC. When you buy a game, you buy the full game. Like back when they were the GameCube fighting with the PS3 and the Xbox 360. And it's like, wow, they sure turned on that real quick. And I get it. They had to. That's how gaming is. It's unfortunate.
I think, like, as much as I even shit on like modern gaming, I think right now, like very recently, people are pushing back. People are starting to push back. Did you hear a ton of people are returning Doom the Dark Ages, like canceling all their because it's download code even on the disc.
You know what, I did hear that.
I don't know if it's PS5 and Xbox, but I would assume it is.
I think so, yeah. Well, so Xbox, see, here's the thing with Xbox owners don't buy games, they pay for Game Pass. And then the games come out and they just play it on Game Pass. So they're probably playing Dark Ages on Xbox because it's no different to them. It's just the next game that they pull from their subscription model. But if you actually want to own these games, I agree. I don't support a game card or whatever you call it, game key card, where you're going to sell me a disc in a case but still require me to go through your online service to even play it at all.
To download the game.
And I know people are like, oh, you install the game anyway, what's the big deal? The big deal is one day that shop is going to shut down and I won't be able to play this game anymore. And that'll be the end of it. It's unfortunate.
You will own nothing and you'll be happy. That's basically So I'm glad players are pushing back now, man.
Push back. You should do that. You should push back.
It's something that we have been advocating for since probably the very first episode of this podcast.
Absolutely.
Honestly. So it's good to see that people are finally doing
we love games. We don't like people getting taken advantage of.
Exactly.
I won't defend them. But I will say to speak to Pokemon Scarlet Violet, the game itself was fun. The Pokemon were like it was fun seeing the new ones, and then they had a nice little mashup of old ones, and now you're at a point where you can haul in. I think there's like 11 total Pokemon in the all the history of all the Pokemon that can't be ported into the game at this point. Every other Pokemon can be. So like your Wartortle that you love, that you brought from OG Pokemon, you can pump that Wartortle into
my butt,
into Scarlet Violet, and it'll be that
hydro
one.
pump.
But you
it
use
in there.
the apps, right? Like you use the it was
paid
Pokemon
apps.
Bank. It was Pokemon Bank. Now it's Pokemon Home. Everything ties together.
Yeah.
Pokemon Home, by the way, the app is cool. It is what it is. You can trade from it. You can do all that stuff, but it costs you money, and that's what annoys me. Like there shouldn't be a monthly service. You're just if you want the extra services, that's what you should charge me a subscription for. But just to transfer from old game to new game, you shouldn't charge me any money to do that.
They
Don't
did
pay
it for free
that.
forever.
That's just it. That's
how it should be.
It's like I said, everything's just dripping with greed. But it's crazy to see how far they've come from the GBA. Because I mean, I think I look at this list. I'm looking at a list of games. WarioWare, by the way, got its start here on the GBA.
Those games were fun.
And those games were a ton of fun.
Oh my god, I would just like sit and play WarioWare.
Yep.
My favorite. This is gonna sound dumb. My favorite is Catch the Stick as it drops.
Yep, that was a good one. There was a lot of like gross ones in
the nose,
too. A lot of boogers. There was a lot of boogers in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, tons of fun with WarioWare. There was also the GBA also. This might be a good jump on point. Crystal Chronicles on the GameCube used the GBA as a controller.
Yeah,
which I thought that was really cool.
About that a little earlier with the same with the Zelda,
the four
thing.
swords.
Yeah. It was a cool concept. It's just I did not really like Crystal
now.
Chronicles, to be honest. But
it was fun. Crystal Chronicles was fun with us all in the room. Like, and it's easy to say that. It's like, well, the game's fun multiplayer. Well, most games are fun multiplayer.
You could take
right?
the shittiest. I remember Finney and I got the platinum trophy in Green Lantern Rise of the Manhunters on PS3, and it's like that game's rated like 3 out of 10 on any website. And then literally all we had to do to get the platinum trophy was just beat the game multiplayer. Like, just play it. They're like, please, we just want somebody to play our game.
We'll give you a platinum trophy.
We'll give you a platinum. Just play it for the love of God. And we did. We just beat it, and it was fun because you're just playing it with your friend. You could take the biggest piece of shit game, and you're gonna have fun if you're playing it with friends. Another really good, GBA game that gets overlooked is, I think it's called Dragon Ball Adventure or Dragon Ball Advance.
Oh, okay, yep.
And it's like an action platformer, and it plays through kind of the entire story of the original Dragon Ball.
Was that the one that had RPG elements? Was kind of like a JRPG, sort of? Like it had that kind of turn-based aspect to it?
No. You're thinking of Attack of the Saiyans on the DS.
That's the one I was thinking of, yep.
I need to sit down and actually play that one. But
Jason played that one. He said it was phenomenal. He really loved it.
Your brother Bubs played the shit out of that one too, I remember. Mm-hmm. I remember when Bubs played it, the first thing I asked was like, can I level up Yamcha and bring him all the way to the fight with the Saiyans? And he said you can. So that's going to be my goal when I play it. Even in the old dude, the Wolfang Fist.
Yeah.
And then the spirit ball attack. Dude, Yamcha's the best.
You got to do the Wolfang Fist. We got to do it the slow motion with the
dude, it's the best. I love Yamcha.
He's so good.
But
especially dead Yamcha. He's laying in the hole.
No, I don't like dead Yamcha. Don't make fun of my boy. The best though was that Dragon Ball Adventure, and it played kind of like a Castlevania game, kind of like it was a side-scrolling. It was like, I guess, a side-scrolling beat 'em up, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Where it wasn't like Double Dragon, where you can like move kind of in 3 dimensions. It was straight up side-scrolling, but with like platforming, and you played through. And then when you'd get to like the tournaments, it would turn into like almost like a fighting game. Okay. It was really good. I remember there are parts in the game that were frustrating because there was like a lot of like you could go in like any cave that you came across, and then they would lead to other caves. It was really easy to get lost sometimes and not know where the fuck to go. But you got to play through the whole thing, and as you played through the story, you'd unlock like new abilities, and it was super fun. It was a really, really good game. I remember like beating it and then just loading my save file and doing fights against because Goku versus Tien in original Dragon Ball is like my favorite fight in all of Dragon Ball. So I remember just like replaying that fight like over and over again, and then doing like what the hell, Jackie Chun versus Tien, and like yeah, it was so good because we have a lot of really good Dragon Ball games, like Dragon Ball Z games, like there's Sparking Zero, for example, I really, really loved on the PS5.
Yeah, you said that one was good.
But it's not like you're not gonna have like Tambourine from Dragon Ball versus little kid Krillin, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
and this was so good for that.
And the other thing is the new games too. So no joke, I fired up like a Naruto game that I had on my PS5 from like, I don't know, one of the PS Plus games.
Okay, yeah.
All of the Bandai fighting games, I imagine the
same.
The Dragon Ball ones are the same in the sense you make your fight, you go through like the VR or whatever version it is that's in here, whatever you do in order to fight the enemies. But it's like collect the scrolls, open the thing, use the coins, buy the stuff. And it's just like layer on layer on layer on layer. It's like, dude, just let me go fight something. Please.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want a city hub. Don't give me the hub.
I never played one like that.
Right?
Like the new ones, like the new Sparking Zero wasn't like that.
What was that one that we were doing? Xenoverse, was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Xenoverse
1 and 2
games were like that.
And 2 was especially bad like that. Like it's like I don't want the hub. I don't need social in this game. I kind of just want to go and fight stuff.
It was cool for a little bit, like have maybe a little hub, but I don't want to roam an entire city.
I don't, because it's just like such a time waste.
Give me a
like,
menu.
I played it for an hour and a half, and I think I actually played the game for like 15 minutes because it's just like, here's the shop. The shop is where you buy tokens. You take the tokens to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper's across the city, and it's like like stuff.
Yeah, it was cool for like 10 minutes because you get to like Ginyu pose with the boys.
Sure, yes.
But it was like, dude, I don't want to run all over town to do shit. I just want to do like battles and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sparking Zero thankfully wasn't like that. Sparking Zero is like the PS2 era Dragon Ball games. But the Naruto ones, there's really good ones. It's Ultimate Ninja Storm or something.
Is that the new one? Is that the one that's on PS5 right now?
Well, there's like a billion of them. The last one I played was like, I think PS3.
Okay.
And that's how I know anything about Naruto was playing those games.
The story from there.
Yeah, they're really fun though, but they do have a kind of a similar play style to Sparking Zero a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of like fast fighting, doing your thing. Don't get me wrong, fun games, it is what it is, but I guess what I was getting at was the Dragon Ball games on the GBA, they didn't have enough space on the cartridge to do any of that gimmicky stuff, so it was nothing but the
pure
good
gameplay,
stuff, right?
Yeah,
like what you're looking for in that game, right? So,
speaking of Dragon Ball on the GBA, the GBA was also the era when you could buy those video cartridges that you'd put in, and watch episodes of Dragon Ball GT on like fucking 12 frames per second on your Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. Now they do that on the Leapfrog tablets that you buy at Walmart.
Actually, you could buy episodes of shit for that?
Yeah.
That's funny. But I just remember, and then, so the Mega Man series it was kind of weird because the GBA was a lot of series that were on like the PS1 and the PS2 eventually like went full steam onto handhelds with the GBA, because like look at Castlevania, right? Like Aria of Sorrow is a mainline Castlevania game. It's not like some spin-off Castlevania. That's a mainline series, and then it continued on to the DS. But even like Mega Man, like you had Mega Man up to Mega Man X8 on the PS2, but then like Mega Man Zero series is all on the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then you had the Battle Network series, which I have a love-hate relationship with. And yeah, I don't know. It was kind of weird because you saw a lot of these series that were like big franchises on previous consoles that were now like a mainstay on handhelds, which was kind of cool.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I just looked up a list here. Do you know how many games were ported? I'm going to say that in quotes because they basically were ported. They had to do a little bit of like
screen shrink,
messing around to get them on the GBA. But like here's the list. Okay, you ready for this? I'll try and go as quickly as I can. Arrow the Acrobat, Breath of Fire.
I used to rent that garbage.
Breath of Fire 1 and 2, Contra 3, Crazy Chase, Desert Strike, which I'm surprised that they ported Desert Strike. Isn't that the Super Nintendo
game.
One?
Yeah, I think it was
Genesis?
on the Super Nintendo as well.
It's like a helicopter, right?
Top-down-ish view. Yeah, that is weird.
Interesting, but
Breath of Fire, I heard, is better on the GBA because the Super NES version,
upgraded, maybe.
Well, the Super NES version had a bad translation, and apparently in the second game, I haven't played the second Breath of Fire in a long time, but apparently there's questions where a NPC will like ask you a question, and the yes and no are reversed because they translated it wrong. Of all the things to fuck up.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You've got Disney's Aladdin, Disney's Magical Quest 1, 2, and 3, Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3, Doom. They put Doom on the GBA.
That's weird. Oh, remember Donkey Kong Land on the Game Boy Color?
Donkey Kong Land. No, I don't.
It was like they tried to make a Donkey Kong Country game work on the Game Boy Color.
Oh, so it was like
very interesting. They kind of pulled it off.
No kidding. I might have to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
You had Earthbound, then you had Earthworm Jim 1 and 2, Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6.
And you had Final Fantasies 1 and 2 as well.
1 and 2 were also on there, yep.
Yeah, Dawn of Souls. And they added a shitload of content to 1 and 2.
Yep.
They added a shitload of job classes to 5. I've never played... the only one I played on the GBA was actually 4 because I had a hacked PSP.
Right. And
like before the Final Fantasy 4 like collection or anything came to the PSP, as soon as I bought a PSP, like I'm that guy that has like Final Fantasy 4 on everything.
Right. Yeah.
So I hacked it and I put the GBA version of Final Fantasy 4 on my PSP, and that's the only Final Fantasy game on the GBA that I played.
Kidding.
That and the sequel to Final Fantasy Tactics, which is a very fucking weird game, was also on the GBA.
Interesting. You also you had Final Fight 1, which was interesting. Legend of the Mystical Ninja 1 and 2, Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, right? Mm-hmm. Lost Vikings, Mega Man and Bass, Metal Max.
Okay.
Metal Max 2.
Do not play Mega Man and Bass on the GBA.
Is it bad?
That game, it's the shrinkage on the screen crunch, man. So that game gets such a bad rap. And I did a video, it's like one of my earliest videos on YouTube. So it has like probably 3 views. And it's probably just me and Kame. But it is actually a really, really good game. If you play like the Super Famicom version, there's like an English translation.
Sure.
It's a really, really good game, but most people remember playing it on the GBA because that was the only English version
that was how it
came
was released here. Yeah, okay.
Yes, and it was like impossible because of the screen shrink.
Screen shrinkage.
Yeah.
They put Mortal Kombat 3 on the GBA, which was a shrunk down version of it, but it was there. Mr. Nuts.
What?
Phalanx, Pitfall the Mayan Adventure, Prehistoric Man, R-Type 3, Rock and Roll Racing,
I played
Shin Megami Tensei 1 and 2, SimCity 2000, The Smurfs, Soccer Kid, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Mario Bros. 2, 3, World, and World 2, Tales of Fantasia, and Wolfenstein 3D.
Wolf 3.
Every single one of these games were just full ported to the GBA.
You know what else was just ported to the GBA?
Impressive.
That's apparently an absolute sack of shit to run on that game.
Uh-oh.
On that.
What's
so
that?
first of all, I would like to point out that this game was a piece of shit to begin with, but Sonic the Hedgehog 1 is apparently really bad on the GBA.
Was that
like
was that
legendarily
Sonic,
bad?
Was that Sonic Advance?
No, Sonic
Or
Advance.
Sonic Advance is a
was its
different
own
game?
series. Yeah.
Okay, it was its own thing.
But
okay.
Sonic, they literally had like the Sonic the Hedgehog 1, the original Sonic the Hedgehog 1,
Sonic
and
the Hedgehog
apparently
1.
they butchered the port or something. I heard. I've never played it on it, but I will testify that I literally just played it 3 nights ago on stream
kidding.
after I beat. I can't remember what I beat. Oh, Prison City, which was really good.
Okay.
That's that Power Blade kind of spiritual successor. I beat that, and then I played Sonic the Hedgehog 1, and yeah, that game sucks ass just as much as it did back when I was a kid. It's the only it's
bad,
like my most hated Sonic game. But yeah, they did a port on the GBA, which is apparently notoriously awful.
Like the worst. Second only to the Master System. I think the Master System was really bad, wasn't it?
No, this is worse.
Oh, it's worse?
Yeah. It's worse than the Master System Sonic one. Well, it's not worse than like 3D Blast on the Master System in the Game Gear, but it's still fucking terrible.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the Game Gear?
Yeah, that one's not very good either. The Sonic Advance series was actually like pretty decent. So the first one was actually like really good, I thought.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was the first or the second, but this was when Sega had like just kind of sunk the ship with the Dreamcast, and they re-released Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 on the GameCube.
Right.
So they weren't just on the Dreamcast. And they had like what was called a Chow Garden, where you could like raise these little guys.
Okay.
And then you could like battle the guys and do Chow karate, Chow races. And you'd feed them. You know, in Sonic, when you kill an enemy, they drop a little animal.
Sure.
A little animal comes out of them. You'd give these little animals to your little guys, and that's how it would determine their stats and how they grow.
Okay.
Well, you could connect, and I think it was Sonic Advance 1. You could connect to the Chow Garden and transfer your Chows into the Game Boy Advance game.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's like a whole bunch of like little things you could do in the Game Boy Advance. I thought that was so freaking cool.
I like that kind of stuff. That's the kind of thing that really like, especially because it's all encompassed within the game too. You don't have to like connect to the internet and download something and all that.
Yeah,
so, like, it's literally
true.
just there. You do need to connect the GameCube or connect the GBAs together, whatever it is you need to do. But it's just cool.
It was
I like that.
Super cool.
Those are neat.
That was also kind of the start of the whole like everything's a death pit saga of the Sonic series. Like Sonic Adventure 1, I feel like wasn't terrible with that until like late in the game. But then you fire up like Sonic Advance 2, and Sonic Advance 2 is like, sorry, I think I said Sonic Adventure, but I meant Sonic Advance.
Yeah.
But anyways, Sonic Advance 2, it's like the second stage is just nothing but death pits. And it's like, what the fuck is this?
Death pit
across
the way.
And so I never really played Sonic Advance 3 because I couldn't get past like the second level in Advance 2 because there was just death pits everywhere. It was brutal.
That's hilarious. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon apparently was on
that's
GBA.
where Mystery Dungeon started.
The Red Rescue Team.
Yeah, those are super popular. Fun fact, the Mystery Dungeon series is actually originally a Dragon Quest spinoff.
Okay.
So the first Mystery Dungeon game was on the Super Famicom, and it was called Tornico's Mystery Dungeon, or whatever the heck that's called in Japanese.
Sure.
And you played as Tornico, one of the main characters from Dragon Quest IV, and you're just dungeon crawling, and they're all hard as fuck. Apparently the Pokemon ones aren't as difficult, and then that's where like Chocobo's Dungeon spun off from as well. That's all one series. Yeah.
It's all the same kind of bucket.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Interesting. Yeah. Man. So many good games. GBA was a fantastic system. They
did a sequel to Guardian Heroes. Remember Guardian Heroes on the?
I do.
They did on the Saturn. They did a sequel to that on the GBA, and they also did a sequel to Gunstar Heroes.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I haven't played either of them. I should get around to that at some point. Because Guardian Heroes is that was good. You did a full review of that one.
That did.
Was really good.
Guardian Heroes was fantastic.
Yeah.
I really, really liked it.
And Gunstar Heroes is like our buddy Finney's like favorite game of all time. And I think they're just called like Gunstar Heroes Advance and Guardian Heroes Advance.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. I'm looking for the date that the GBA ended its production.
I feel like it lasted a long time.
It was a long time, right?
And then just like what the GBA did for the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color, the DS did for the Game Boy Advance, because you could play your Game Boy Advance. Now I can't remember. Could you play Game Boy games or just Game Boy Advance in the DS?
The DS allowed you to do Game Boy games. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was the Nintendo was great with backwards compatibility for the longest time.
For handhelds, anyways.
And then when the 3DS released, that's when it stopped. So the 3DS, I believe, allowed you to play OG DS games.
Yeah.
But they took the cartridge slot away. But
even the DSi did, actually.
No, my DSi has the slot. I have a DSi.
But can't it just do Game Boy Advance, the DSi?
No, I plugged in my Pokemon cart into the bottom of it. Fires up like a champ.
Really?
It looks stupid because it sticks out like that far from the bottom.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
But with that being said, I mean, it works perfectly fine, because the pin layout for the GBA and the Game Boy is the same, right? Like that's how they were able to do I think I shouldn't say that with certainty. I'm pretty sure that's how it is. But the DSi is completely backwards compatible with
I thought the DSi couldn't for whatever reason.
Yeah, I used so I got rid of my GBA. I didn't like get rid of it, but I stopped using the GBA when I got my DSi, because there was no need to use it anymore, right?
Yeah.
The DSi was better than the GBA across the board, with a better screen. It was backlit. It had a rechargeable battery, right? Like everything about the DSi was better, except the cartridge stuck out. That's
the only thing I didn't like about the DSi compared to like the DS Lite was that the D-pad was like clicky buttons instead of a D-pad. Because I don't know. I had a DS, and then I got a DS. Like I had a DS Lite, I guess it was, and then I got a DSi, and then I gave my wife the DS Lite, and I was like, I was like, this feels bad.
Right.
And even the volume, because on the DS and the DS Lite, the volume was a slider. On the DSi, it was a fucking button, so you couldn't get. Like, the volume would either be, like, a little bit too loud, like, louder than you wanted it, or a little bit quieter than you wanted it. But it was, like, stuck at, like, 8 different volume levels. You couldn't slide.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I most definitely had... Oh, maybe I had the DS Lite, now that I'm looking at a picture of the DSi.
Did yours have a camera?
I didn't have the DSi. I had the DS Lite.
Okay, yeah. I'm pretty sure the DS Lite is not backwards compatible.
Yeah, you're correct, because I'm looking at a picture of the DSi right now, and it does not have the cartridge slot in the bottom.
So it doesn't even do GBA.
They would have pulled that out. Yeah, so it would only do DS games.
Oh, okay.
But sorry. I had the DS Lite. I had the Arctic White DS Lite. I still have it. It works like a champ.
How dirty is it? That's the thing.
Not
People
at
buy
all.
the white. Oh, really? I would never buy a white. I'd buy like a white console. I would never buy a white handheld.
Yeah, white was all in at the time. No, it's not dirty, but I don't use my stuff that much. And when I am using it, I don't have snacks. I keep my hands clean. And you've known me for a long time. I have a slight germophobia. I use a lot of hand sanitizer. I keep my hands clean.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that as well. I took enough like food safety courses that I'm pretty anal about that.
It's always the same thing. Is the people who take the food safety courses that are like,
it is.
I'm not touching that until I wash my hands.
Yeah, it's funny, man. The more you know,
But it hasn't discolored or anything like that. But with that same thing being said, the same thing happened with my DS Lite. When I got my 3DS, I put the DS Lite in the drawer. I didn't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was now playing those same games on my new system. So
Yeah, dude.
And then that all stopped when the Switch came out, and then that was the end of that.
Yeah, pretty much. Dude, the GBA was just, I don't know what it was. It just, I always have fond memories with it.
I have a lot of fond memories.
There was just like such a big library. I remember, you know what? Speaking of Dragon Ball Z, like half an hour ago, they had, remember those shitty Legacy of Goku games that that I absolutely loved back in the day? They were like,
I don't know.
They were like played like kind of like Zelda, but really bad. It was like top down. You had experience points, and you would start from like Dragon Ball Z and work your. And the first game was like Dragon Ball Z up to I think Frieza, and then the second game, which was like way better gameplay wise, because you were like punching dogs and snakes.
Yeah.
To level grind, it was brutal, man. It was not good. And then the second one, you would you got to play as more than Goku. In the second one, you got to have like you could play as like I think Trunks, because it was like kind of the Android Cell saga.
Right. Yeah. That era.
Yeah. And then the third one, unfortunately, was really, really good, but it was just the Boo saga, and like I hate the Boo saga, right? But you got to play as like Go Tanks. You could like fuse. You could like do all kinds. Like the third one, they really nailed it. I wish they would have like remade the first two in to play like the third one instead. But yeah, that was a fucking experiment of a series.
Yeah,
I
haven't done a whole lot of Dragon Ball games, but the few that I have played have been fun.
Yeah. So. There's a lot of good ones out there.
From what I can tell, I think for the most part the GBA was done in 2006.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, it had a good life. It launched 2001, went 2006 ish.
That seems like shorter than I would have thought.
Well, see, the thing is, it's the handhelds I think moved a lot faster than the standard consoles did, because the original DS released in North America November 21st, 2004.
Oh,
so
wow.
Really, the DS came out 3 years after the GBA did.
Wow.
But those I don't know if you ever got your hands on an original Nintendo DS.
They're weird.
Trash.
Yeah.
They're not good.
Yeah, they're super weird, dude.
The light was a significant improvement across the board. I played one of those original DSs,
and they had like that. They were like flat and then lifted up for the screen.
They were really strange.
Yeah, very weird.
Very, very strange.
And I heard like the hinges would like break, so they'd be like flippy flappy.
Yeah, not great. Not great, but a great subject for our next
episode.
For next podcast.
Yeah, dude. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you tell us in the comments, what are some of your favorite Game Boy Advance games? What are your earliest memories playing the Game Boy Advance? And what color Game Boy Advance did you have?
I want to know what color that you picked up. Or which ones, are you a collector? Maybe you have many.
Yeah.
Tell us all about that.
I feel like this console was what kicked off the whole like modification, like custom handhelds.
Oh, like face plates and stuff?
Yeah, well, because people would put like LED and LCD backlights and like new
you still
screens.
do. GBA is a fantastic system. If there's mod kits out there for like the backlights and, and buttons and shells and all that kind of stuff, and like it's fantastic.
Shout out to Malroth, who's gonna be doing my WonderSwan color and my Game Gear eventually. As soon as the part, I'm waiting for a part to come back in stock, and then I'm gonna buy it and ship it all to him, because he does that. He does like the
that's his thing.
Yeah, the custom. He built one. He's built I think his first one from like the ground up just the other week.
Okay.
But he's done like modifications for years and years. Got it. But I want to get my Genesis running like. I'm going to get it so that it runs off of like rechargeable batteries. It can be charged with like a USB.
Oh, yeah.
And like
rechargeables.
New back screen, LED or whatever back screen. Yep. And then, of course, the WonderSwan color is so fucking dark, man. It runs off like one AAA battery.
Yep. Well, Malroth, this one's for you, bud. Well done.
Yeah, dude. I'm stoked. I can't wait for that part to come in and Canada Post to go on strike, so I have to pay
$90
to
it gets
FedEx
stuck forever.
to send it over there. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, please remember to like, subscribe, turn notifications to all. Check out both of us on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Dookie03.
Twitch.tv/DG Online. Also, probably on YouTube. You're probably watching this on YouTube if you're not listening to it on Spotify. And you can check me out on YouTube at youtube.com/@dadgamingonline. And of course, you can always check out Dookie at
Dookie03. YouTube.com.
Make sure you subscribe to Dookie. You're gonna want to watch those videos. Watch lots of. I've been seeing a lot of Expedition 33 videos coming out of your.
Yeah, a lot of guides and stuff.
I haven't been watching them.
Yeah,
but I have
spoilers.
been clicking the link, clicking the like, and closing the video like that. No, just kidding.
Yeah, no, it's been great. I've been doing a lot of. I was actually grinding in Expedition 33 this afternoon a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, so
get that end game.
I beat the game. It was absolutely incredible. We're not going to say anything about it because you haven't played it yet.
Haven't seen it
and
yet.
You're swinging into Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake. So guys, be sure to check him out on his stream and his YouTube channel. He streams from both, and this is his first. You played Dragon Quests 1 and 2, or just one?
I played
so
one and
far?
so I played 1 and 2. I played all the entirety of 1.
Yeah,
that was a fun play.
Too. You got to
and
the
then
boat
I played
where everybody
2.
quits.
I got to the boat.
Nobody blames you for it either.
Yeah. Once I got into the boat, I tried. I don't like to follow guides when I play games. That's the thing. I could have opened up a walkthrough, but I don't even think a walkthrough would have helped here.
With
right?
Dragon Quest 2. Once you start a walkthrough, you're pretty much stuck to that walkthrough the whole time until you get to a certain point after the boat. So
So I mean that was kind of the thing. It was a fun play for what it was, but I have this love-hate relationship with NES RPGs. That's just, and it's not a knock against the game. It's just that's what they had to work with. So they were trying to do new things, but they didn't have the resources and the technology in order to do it the way they wanted. And so you ended up kind of getting what you did. I'm really looking forward to jumping into 3 here, though. And so, that starts Monday. We're already there. It's already Monday.
Yeah,
can't wait
he will have started by the time this episode goes out.
By the time this comes out, I'll have already seen it. So make sure that you go back. The VODs are always posted on the YouTube, so you want to come hang out, watch it, that's fine. But if you want to watch it at your leisure, that's what it's there for. Yeah,
give yourself a little pleasure. You can do it at your leisure.
At your leisure.
All right, guys, have a good one. We'll catch you next time with the DS.
See you on the next one.